One-on-one, Sammy Whitcomb with 8 seconds left. Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected!
I grew up playing the basketball with the boys, so like it's always been physical and feisty, and like that's what it is, and you got to find a way to hold your own, so it kind of reminds me of that. And then I grew up with 2 brothers.
Lightning quick. And talk about the physicality, Dana Evans wrapping up Clark. Yeah, I mean, this is a foul for sure.
Imagine being one of the brightest stars in professional basketball, a player whose talent is undeniable and whose future seems destined for greatness. Now, imagine that despite all your accomplishments, you find yourself at the center of a storm fueled by envy, resentment, and outright hostility. This is the reality for Caitlin Clark, a player whose rise in the WNBA has been anything but smooth. Clark's journey from college phenom to WNBA standout has been marred by aggressive plays, unsportsmanlike conduct, and a level of animosity that has left many wondering what is really going on behind the scenes in the WNBA. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the professional stage, it was clear she was different. Her lightning-quick moves, deadly shooting accuracy, and unshakable composure under pressure made her an instant sensation. But with that success came something darker, a wave of resentment and hostility that has turned her WNBA experience into a battleground. What should have been a triumphant start to a promising career has instead become a cautionary tale of what happens when a player's talent and popularity threaten to overshadow her peers. The WNBA has long struggled with media coverage and visibility, often lamenting the lack of attention compared to its male counterparts. But when Caitlin Clark arrived, the spotlight intensified like never before. Suddenly, the WNBA had a star who could draw crowds, sell jerseys, and captivate audiences both in the arena and on television. Yet, instead of being celebrated, Clark found herself becoming a target not just for her opponents on the court, but for a broader wave of hostility that seems aimed at undermining her success. As Charles Barkley once pointed out, what she's done for the game the last couple of years. She is a shining star, but Barkley also highlighted something more troubling: the fact that Clark's rise has been met with a level of aggression that goes beyond the norm. From overly physical play to outright attempts to injure, Clark has been subjected to a kind of initiation that feels more like hazing than competition. It's as if some players see her success not as an inspiration, but as a threat to their own status, to their own legacy, and to their own financial security. This aggression isn't just about basketball. It's personal. Caitlin Clark's individuality, her unique style, her quiet confidence, and her refusal to engage in trash talk sets her apart in a league where many players are used to being the center of attention. And that uniqueness has made her a target. It's as if her very existence in the league is a challenge to the established order, a challenge that some are not willing to accept. But what's truly disturbing is the underlying reason for this hostility. Many believe that the aggression Clark faces is rooted in envy. Since her debut, Clark has captured almost all the media attention, drawing fans not just to her home games but even to away games where the stands are filled with people eager to see her play. Her presence has boosted ticket sales, increased revenue for team owners, and made her the face of the WNBA. For players who were once the stars of the league, this has been a bitter pill to swallow. There's also the issue of endorsements. Caitlin Clark has quickly become one of the most marketable players in the WNBA, landing lucrative deals that were once reserved for a select few. To see someone so new to the league earning the kind of money they believe should be theirs has only added fuel to the fire. The resentment isn't just about being overshadowed on the court. It's about watching someone else cash in on what they believe they deserve. And then there's the matter of race. Some players, particularly those who are black, believe there is a double standard at play. They argue that if Caitlin Clark were black, she wouldn't be receiving the same level of fame and adulation. This belief has created a racial tension within the league that complicates the already fraught dynamics. It's a sentiment that adds another layer of complexity to the hostility Clark faces, making it clear that the issues at play are about more than just basketball. They're about identity, representation, and who gets to be the face of the WNBA. The tensions came to a head in the first matchup between Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever and Angel Reese's Chicago Sky. The game was billed as a showdown between two of the league's brightest stars, but it quickly turned into something much darker. As the game approached its climax, Kennedy Carter delivered an off-ball hip check on Clark, a move that was initially called a standard foul but was later upgraded to a flagrant one due to its severity. The foul was a blatant attempt to intimidate and injure Clark, and it was clear that it was motivated by more than just the heat of competition. Angel Reese, who was on the court at the time, was seen celebrating the foul, a gesture that many interpreted as more than just support for a teammate. Given the well-documented rivalry between Reese and Clark dating back to their college days, it's hard to believe Reese's later claims that she was just showing support for Carter. The incident was a clear indication that the rivalry had crossed the line from competitive to personal. But Caitlin Clark, true to form, refused to be rattled. Despite the rough play and the blatant attempts to take her down, she remained composed, sinking the free throw that resulted from the flagrant foul and helping her team clinch a narrow 7-1-7-0 victory. Clark's response was remarkable not just for her skill, but for her ability to rise above the pettiness and focus on the game. Yet the incident with Carter and Reese was just the tip of the iceberg. Clark's entire experience in the WNBA has been marked by aggression that seems less about the game and more about sending a message. She has been shoved, elbowed, and hit in ways that stretch the boundaries of normal gameplay, and it's hard not to see these actions as deliberate attempts to put her in her place. The question is, why? What is it about Caitlin Clark that has made her the target of such intense hostility? Some believe it's fear that Clark's success will render other players irrelevant, that her star power will eclipse theirs, and that her legacy will overshadow everything they've worked to build. Others believe it's about control, that the powers that be in the WNBA are uncomfortable with a player who doesn't fit the mold, who doesn't play by the unspoken rules, and who threatens to disrupt the status quo. Whatever the reason, the result is clear: Caitlin Clark is being bullied, plain and simple. And while she has handled it with grace and resilience, the fact that it's happening at all is a damning indictment of the WNBA. This is a league that prides itself on empowerment, on lifting up women and creating a space where they can excel. Yet, when faced with a player who is different, who stands out in ways that make others uncomfortable, the response has been to try and tear her down. Clark's reaction to all of this has been nothing short of inspiring. Rather than let the negativity drag her down, she has used it as fuel for her performance. In her latest games, she has turned the tables on her bullies, delivering some of the best performances of her young career. Her ability to transform adversity into success is a testament to her character and a warning to those who would try to undermine her. One of the most pivotal moments in Clark's career came during a critical game against the Chicago Sky. Despite the aggressive play she faced, Clark remained undeterred. Late in the third quarter, she drove to the basket, only to be met by Angel Reese, who attempted to block her shot. But instead of the ball, Reese's hand struck Clark across the head, sending her crashing to the floor. It was a brutal play, one that could have sidelined Clark for the rest of the game. But true to form, Clark got back up, shook it off, and continued to play. The foul put Reese in serious trouble, adding to her fouls and diminishing her impact in the game's second half. Meanwhile, Clark only seemed to get stronger, leading the Fever to a 9-1-8-3 victory, their second consecutive win, and a clear sign that Clark was more than capable of handling the pressure. Clark's performance in that game was nothing short of spectacular. She dropped a game-high 23 points, shot 7 for 11 from the field, including 3 three-pointers, and came close to a triple-double with 9 assists and 8 rebounds. Her defense, often criticized earlier in the season, was on point as she blocked shots and shut down Chicago's top scorer. It was a masterclass in resilience and determination, a clear message to her detractors that she wasn't going anywhere. But the hostility didn't end there. After the game, a Chicago Sky rookie suggested that the officiating had been biased, implying that Clark had received preferential treatment from the referees. It was another attempt to undermine Clark's achievements, to paint her success as somehow unearned. But Clark, as always, refused to be drawn into the controversy. Her focus remained on the game, on doing her job and executing under pressure. Reflecting on the game, Clark said, "What's going through my mind is I need to make these 2 free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. It is what it is." It's this kind of mindset that has made Clark a force to be reckoned with. Her ability to stay calm under pressure, to focus on what she can control, and to rise above the drama that others try to create around her. The WNBA, however, cannot afford to ignore what is happening. Caitlin Clark's experience is a symptom of a much larger problem, a problem that, if left unchecked, could tear the league apart. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and the choices it makes now will determine its future. First and foremost, the league must address the culture of hostility that has taken root. Players like Clark should not have to endure bullying and aggressive tactics simply because they are successful. The WNBA needs to send a clear message that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated, and it needs to back that message up with action, whether that means suspensions, fines, or other penalties for those who cross the line. The league also needs to take a hard look at how it treats its players, particularly those who are different, who don't fit the mold, and who may be perceived as threats to the established order. The WNBA prides itself on being inclusive, on lifting up women, and giving them a platform to succeed. But if it can't support players like Caitlin Clark, then it risks losing its credibility and its relevance. The issue of race also needs to be addressed. The perception of a double standard in how players are treated based on their race is a serious problem, one that could have long-lasting implications for the league. The WNBA needs to ensure that all players are treated fairly, and that the success of players like Caitlin Clark doesn't come at the expense of others. Finally, the WNBA needs to recognize the immense value that Caitlin Clark brings to the league. She is not just a talented player, she is a game changer, someone who has the potential to elevate the entire sport. Rather than trying to tear her down, the league should be doing everything in its power to support her, to promote her, and to help her succeed. Caitlin Clark's story is one of resilience, determination, and the will to succeed in the face of overwhelming odds. But it's also a story about the challenges that still exist in women's professional sports, the challenges that come with being different, with standing out, and with refusing to conform to the expectations of others. The WNBA has a choice to make. It can continue down the path it's on, allowing jealousy, resentment, and hostility to fester. Or it can take a stand, support its players, and create an environment where everyone, regardless of their background or their success, can thrive. Caitlin Clark is not just the future of the WNBA, she is the present. And if the league wants to secure its future, it needs to recognize that, embrace it, and do everything it can to support the players who are pushing the sport forward. The stakes have never been higher, and the world is watching. The WNBA's next moves will determine whether it rises to the challenge or falls victim to its own internal strife.